Okay.
We're good. Okay, before we get started, if you're not familiar with Bales, I'd like to take a second to tell you a little about who we are. We were founded in 1995 by Jamie Bales. We've been a partner of the Infor community since 1997. We do full human capital management, CloudSuite, finance, and supply chain management offerings, including technology components. We have deep roots in Lawson and Infor implementations. We were involved in the development of Infor CloudSuite, and we delivered the initial CloudSuite training program for Infor and all partners. Our consultants average over 15 years experience, and as of last year, we are now a subsidiary of Nordic Consulting. Today's session is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be sent to all registrants. If you're not registered but would like to receive the link, please email Molly Velasco to request a link. Again, we'd like to thank you for joining us today. Let me turn it over to Rob. All you, Rob. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Move on to the next slide here. To give you a brief introduction of myself. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are today. My name is Rob Velasco, and I'm a technical practice manager here at Bales & Associates. I started working for Bales & Associates just over 24 years ago. It's hard to believe it's been that long. And I've been in the Infor Lawson space for about 25 years. Over that time, I've been involved in most things on the technical side, starting with some 4GL development and LSF administration, security, process flow, and then moving into installations of LSF and Landmark. And then over the past 5 years, I've been working on the technical side of the house for the multi-tenant environments, and I've been involved in most pieces of that as well, such as process flow, configuration console, user management, environment administration, burst administration, and some IDM administration, just to name a few. Here, I have a little disclaimer we want to read, and just wanted to say that this material is in reference to the Infor version 11 multi-tenant environment. This presentation is for informational purposes only, and we will make no warranties, guarantees of any kind based on this presentation alone. Reliance on this information presented without consultation is at your own risk. We highly recommend that you contact Bales to discuss how solutions can be tailored specifically to your needs. And actually, let me back up a step here. I wanted to introduce Jared. If Jared was able to join, I know he was on another call. It might be a little late. I could also give a brief introduction of Jared. Jared will be here to help answer some questions at the end if it's something that I'm not able to address. But Jared has also been working for Bales & Associates. Well, I should say he's been working for Bales & Associates for about 7 years now, and has been in the Infor space over 10 years. And like myself, has been involved in all things on the technical side, both on the LSF and now on the multi-tenant Landmark, GHR and CSF products, or I should say FSM products. Okay. Just jump down there, past the disclaimer, which I already read, and kind of a brief overview. So just wanted to kind of walk through some of the things we'll be talking about today. So essentially, what we'll be looking at is basically printing a AP check printing, basic AP check printing. I'll give you a little overview of what we're going to be doing in the coming slides, but I'll also be covering the Infor document management side and how it relates to this solution, the Infor CloudSuite FSM product and how it relates, the IDM templates, the actual check printing, and finally, questions and answers. So on to the overview. So I just kind of wanted to give the kind of objective of what we're looking to do with this presentation. So the objective behind this presentation was to produce a payables check out of multi-tenant CloudSuite FSM application using IDM. We only needed one check template that had minimal changes, basically only a logo change, and we only had one email-enabled check printer to print to. We had one user and one administrator. So again, like I said, this was a very basic solution that we needed to develop, and that's what I'm walking through here, the steps. It would take someone to create a check out from one printer, and that's an email enabled printer. So the components we're going to cover here are is Infor document management and the Infor CloudSuite supply management product. We use IDM to download the Microsoft add-ins tool, which is needed to edit the templates. You also will use IDM to upload the configuration files that is provided by Infor through a knowledge base article. Sorry about that. I believe Infor is looking to automate this piece, but at this point, I don't know if that's been done. But there is a knowledge base article that does contain the information and how to upload. But I'll also be showing you how to do that here. And it's also good to know just in case you have to do it manually. Then we'll also be covering the CloudSuite financials and supply management side of the house. We're going to talk about the application configuration, the printer configuration, the IDM templates and where to grab them, how to upload those templates, and but once we create the output, where to view the output. Okay. So on to Infor document management. So the pieces that we're going to touch on in the Infor document management application are the application icon, what it looks like, where it is. That's in the multi-tenant CloudSuite environment. Also the IDM security roles and what will be needed to access that information. The home page and what it looks like when you first open document management. The control center, which is where we will be able to download the MS Word add-ins as well as the IDM configuration import. So moving on, this is what the document management icon looks like when you're in the Infor CloudSuite environment. It's called document management. In case some of you have a multi-tenant environment, you could look to see if you have access to this. And if you don't have access, then you could speak to your administrator and he could give you the proper security roles that are needed to access document management. I'll touch on the security roles on the next slide. So in order to access Infor document management, there are a number of security roles that will give you some or all access to the IDM product. The first two on the list are the ones we use in this solution, which is why I listed them here specifically. The other security roles can be used, and there's Infor documentation on what those roles give. The roles are assigned to the users using the user management product of Infor OS. Here's a screenshot of the IDM roles that are available to add to users in the user management tool. So here for the solution, I used the IDM administrator for the person who would be the admin of the financials product admin, as well as the admin of the technical admin as well. And then any user who just would create checks would be assigned the IDM user role. So once you open document management, this is what the home page looks like. It basically will show you recently modified documents that are in document management. If you're administrator, if you have the administrator security role, you'll see all the documents, whether you created them or not, and they'll be listed in order of when they were created from the newest to the latest. I'm sorry, newest to the oldest, I should say. And in this instance, this is a PDF here. So this is a warehouse pick ticket. So it does show you both AP, I'm sorry, both finance and supply chain documents. So from the home page, you will need to go to the Control Center to download the Microsoft Word add-ins installation program. So a little bit on the Microsoft add-ins installation program on the next screen. But to access the Control Center, you need to click on this little nut icon, which will take you to the Control Center. So this is what the Control Center page looks like. This contains additional topics needed for IDM administration, most of which will not be covered in this presentation. We are focusing on what is needed to get the check to print using IDM. The areas contained in the Control Center are for our administration, configuration, tools, development, system health, and document output. Now, in order to edit the template that is available to you to use, you will need a Microsoft add-ins product for Word. So this will be installed into your Microsoft Word's product, and it'll allow you to edit templates. So in order to get that download, you will need to go to the Development tab and go to Downloads, and there it will pull up this Downloads page, and here's the Output Management Word add-ins link. Once you click this, it will download a zip file to your desktop. And from here, once you extract the zip file, you need to install the IDM Out Management Word Add-ins Installer MSI file. And that will install Microsoft Word's add-ins to your Microsoft Word's product. Okay. I just kind of wanted to briefly show you what it looks like once it's installed. So what you'll see is the Infor document management will be added to your menu bar, just like you see in ISD or MS add-ins for Excel. So you click on that and it'll pull up the IDM toolset, which you can then help edit your template, which is in the middle of this page here. But like I said, we'll get to this a little bit more later, a little bit later in the presentation. Once that has been downloaded, you can install it whenever you need to. But once that's done, we then need to move on to the IDM configuration file. So this needs to be installed once and is available on Infor Concierge under this knowledge base article. So you need to log into Infor Concierge and go to Infor Support Portal. You search for the knowledge base article. You open the article, select attachments. Under the attachments, you want to download the IDM configuration file that corresponds with your CloudSuite MSF version. So this is, for instance, the current version that's installed on the CloudSuite is for January of this year. So you'll go down, you would download the IDM-configuration CU 2020, should be 2022. I apologize for that. 2022.-01.xml. So you would download that. Once you have that downloaded and saved to your PC, we need to upload that to IDM. So in order to do this, we need to go back to the Control Center. So in order to do so, from the Downloads page, if you're still there, you hit back to Documents, and then that'll take you back to your home page. If you're on your home page, you just then again click the nut like you did before, and it'll take you to the Control Center. Once you're on the Control Center, there under the section Administration, there's an Import Export section. You click on the import export button, and it'll pull up this form to import the configuration file. So you click on the import tab, you find the file that was saved to your PC that you downloaded from Infor support, and you click import. So at this point, IDM is configured to use the templates that are in FSM. So now we're going to move on to the configuration as needed in FSM. So for CloudSuite Financials, we're going to talk about security roles that have access to the IDM configuration. Talk about IDM configuration that's needed within FSM. We're going to talk about the printer configuration that's needed, as well as the IDM templates. So security roles. So for this solution, we pretty much use the application administrator. What the application administrator gives you access to create, delete, update, set as default, sync IDM printers, and print test pages. This again, like the other security role, is assigned in Infor OS, the IFS, or user management product. The other roles with IDM access are shown below here as buyer role, financial administrator, financial processor, financials viewer, and so on. These will give you a little bit less access. You're able to set the default printer, set the default printer, sync IDM printers, and test print pages. Print test pages, I should say. Like I mentioned before, the security role we use for this is application administrator. Okay, so for the IDM configuration that's needed within FSM, we need to create the IDM configuration for the finance enterprise group. In order to do so, you have to go to application administrator, you have to go to financials or supply management, either one will take you to the same place. There's a shared processes under both, and there's an IDM configuration option. So as you see here, we are under the application administrator role. I wasn't able to show that on the screen print. But from there, we go to financials. And from there, it's shared processes. And then IDM configuration. And the same thing on this side under supply chain, under the supply management. Okay. What that'll do is that will pull up the main IDM configuration list. From here, as you see here, we didn't have any at this time, but you would select the add button in order to add your configuration. This will then pull up the IDM configuration form. And from here, you need to drill and select your finance enterprise group that you wish to set up this check printing for. We want to check all boxes, and we hit save. Once you hit save, it'll be on the IDM attributes page, or tab, I should say. In order to test the connection to make sure everything's working, you want to hit the connection button. The connection tab, I should say. Once you hit the connection tab, you want to hit the test connection button, which is here. This will run a test to make sure everything is connected to IDM. And as you can see here, the IDM version shows, as well as the FSM version, and those match. And your IDM test connection result passed. Those are the things you're looking for. So now that that's done, the configuration for FSM is done. We can move on to printers. So for printer management, you need a email-enabled printer. This sends emails to the printer, which will then print the PDF that's attached. Or you can also have an enterprise print software that the email gets sent to, and that will manage the printing of the attachments. This solution used an email-enabled printer. So in order to set up your printer, you need to go to Application Administrator role still. You want to go to Financials. This is, again, also under Financials. I'm sorry, also under Supply Management. You want to go to Shared Processes. There's a printer setup, and then IDM printers. This will pull up your IDM printers page. From this page, you could add new printers. You could manage the printers that already exist. You could test a print page. Print a test page. For some reason, I'm having a hard time saying that today. Print a test page as well as set a printer as default here. But since we're going to add a new printer, we want to hit the add button, which I didn't circle, but that's right here. Once you hit the add button, this form pulls up, and you'll need to enter the IDM printer title, the IDM printer name. Could be the same as the printer title or not. The email address that's attached to that printer, but you could also put your business or personal email address here. I should say your work email address, and description of the printer. Any email will work in this. So if you want to test the process with your work email, you can set your email for a test printer, and that will test the process. Once that's saved, once you submit, that gets saved to the IDM printers, and your IDM printers are set up. You're ready to go. So that is basically all the configuration that's needed. So at this point, we can move on to the IDM templates. What we're going to cover here is where the templates are, how to download them, how to edit those, and then where to upload and attach those. Okay. There are 3 documents to every template. The first document is the actual template itself. It's a Word doc, and that is available for download. And that's the doc you open up in Microsoft Word for editing. There is a fact sheet, and that's a spreadsheet, an XLSX spreadsheet. This contains the instructions and information on the template. It also contains the business class and list view names that are the source of the templates once they're in FSM, as well as the list of fields that are available for source data. For instance, payables check, the business class is payment output file detail, and the list view is called payment file detail list for IDM document. Now, if you look at the spreadsheet and the field you need is not available to be added to your template, you can edit this list view to add fields using Configuration Console. So that would then put those fields in the list view, which then would make them available for the template. We're not going to discuss that in this call, but that's something in this meeting, I should say, but that's something that that can be done. And finally, the third file is the XML file, this view XML file. This is the data source when you're creating the template. Basically has all the fields that are available that could be used and dragged into your template. And it is uploaded using the IDM MS Word add-ins tool to the template. So once you open your template, you could then pull in your source data, which then allows you to pull in fields that may not be on your template, but you need to add. Okay, so the IDM templates show up in multiple locations to download. As I say, to view all the templates, you could go to Application Administrator, you go to Financials or Supply Management, you go to shared processes and then sample document templates. This will display all templates, and there'll be different tabs for different template types. For this solution, our templates are available under Payables templates. And here, to get to the Payables templates, you go to Application Administrator, you go to Payables, you go to Payables Setup, Customer Document Setup, Sample Payables Documents. I'll show that here on the next slide. See the big screen here, bigger screen. The Payables, Payables Setup, Customer Document Setup, Sample Payables Document. As you can see here, the downloads show up here under the template you want to use. I have highlighted the Micker check at the bottom, which has remittance at the top. The one we used for our solution was actually this one here, which is the Micker check on top sample IDM template. It has a remittance below that. But the three pieces that you want to download for this are the sample Micker check document, which is your actual template. Here's where to download the fact sheet, which is your Excel file, which has information and the fields, as well as your view XML, which is the XML file used to upload into upload using the add-ins tool. And this is the actual, this is what the fact sheet looks like. It has instructions that are included. The section talks about adding the Micker font to the checks and how to do that, as well as your field mapping. So it'll give you instructions, maybe a tab of some other information, as well as the field mapping, all the fields that are available. And if one of these could be pulled into your template and used. Again, if the field you need, the data you need isn't in one of these fields, then you'd have to create a configuration to add it to the list view. Okay. So once you have those templates downloaded, you want to open Word. And once you open Word, you open, or you could just open your document in Word, I should say. Open the document in Word. And once it opens up in Word, it looks like any other document until you click on the Infor Document Management tab. Once you select that, all the Infor Document Management toolset boxes will appear. So from here, that's actually the buttons for the tool sets will appear. You want to click Settings, which will then open the boxes that you need to enter your information. From those boxes, you'll log into the multi-tenant environment. You'll attach your source data using the add-ins toolset. Once you log into your environment and you attach your source data, you could now edit your document. You could then add your logo, and that's the very least you have to do that because it has a spot for a logo. Outside of that, you could use the template as is if you want. And then you could also move the fields around. I don't go into in this presentation on how to edit that document. If any of you have tried to edit templates before, they take some time and to try to get things precise, especially with for checks and the Micker line having to be in the correct spot. That does take some time, so we don't really cover that here, but we do. I will show you what it looks like in Word. Once you've made all the changes you need, you can create a test file using the template as well. What that'll do is use the XML file that you load. There's there's actually test data in that file, and it pulls that data into your template and will create a PDF, which will show you what it's going to look like. Once you verify everything looks good, you can then save that in order to upload it to FSM. So I'm going to move down here to the next tab, which is kind of what we just talked about. So as you see, this is Word. And when you open it up to begin with, it's the document in the middle here. It looks like any other Word document. As soon as you click on Infor Document Management, this toolbar appears. Once you click on Settings, which is 1A, so I said 1A here to hit Settings button. Once you click this, these other boxes will appear. And from here, that's when you then, second step was to log in to your CloudSuite environment. So you put your URL information here, and you log in with your normal credentials. If you have to select your ADFS or using a CloudSuite identity, either way. So you log in like you normally do into multi-tenant environment. And then once that's complete, you want to add your XML file. And you do that by clicking this import button over here. There's also a way to do it under toolset, but we'll use this because it's here and it's on the, it shows up on the form. It's a little bit easier. Click the import button, go find your XML file, and once it imports, it shows you all the fields that are available to a template. From there, you want to go in and make your edits to the template. If you want to put a logo here, put your company logo here, move the address fields, remove payment comments, whatever you need to do to make it look like the check that you edited, whatever you need to do to make it look the way you need it to look, and then you save it. And once you save it, you can click this generate test PDF. You can do this at any time. This will create a PDF containing test data, so you get a better look at what the final check will look like. So once you're satisfied with that, again, you save it, and then we're going to upload it to FSM. So now we're moving on to uploading the template that you have just created. So pieces we're going to cover here are uploading the IDM template, attaching the template to the payment format, create payment, and how to view that IDM document. So in order to upload the IDM Payables template, we want to go to Application Administrator again. We'll go to Financials. Under Financials, we'll go to Payables, Payable Setup, Customer Documentation Setup, and IDM Templates. As you can see here, it's Payments, Payable Setup, Customer Document Setup, and there's an IDM Templates. Once you click on that, it pulls up the IDM Customer Document Templates form. So from the Payables Payment Output tab, you could go to the other ones as well. But for the solution we're talking about, we go to the Payables Payment Output tab, which is what shows up when you open it. You want to hit the Add button. This will pull up the IDM template form. And here you want to add the template name, the description. I like to put the actual file name as the description, just so it's easy to determine what the actual file was that you uploaded. The output format we set to PDF. This could also be a doc, but in order to keep people from editing your printed checks, we created a PDF. Then you attach the file, so you basically find the file where it's located, and then make sure it's active, and you hit save. Now that you've uploaded the template, you now have to attach it to your payment. So basically your payment format, I should say. So to do that, you need to go to Applications Administrator. You need to go to Financials, Cash Management this time, instead of Payables, Cash Setup, Cash Payment Formats. This will pull up your cash payment formats. So you can either create them at this time or it might already be available. So you want to select the cash payment option that you want to attach this template to. In this instance, let's just say it was the BOA check. That'll pull up the cash payment form. So once you're here, the fields you want to update are your payment format. If it's not in IDM output file format, you want to find it and select that value. Other options are like electronic file is another option here. As well as different, a bunch of other formats, country-specific formats, I should say. So in this instance, we want to go find IDM output format. Then we want to drop down to the template options section. From here, this is where you're going to hit your magnifying glass and find your template. The template you just uploaded will be available, as well as any other templates that have been uploaded. You want to select your template, and it'll add it here. So AP check version 2. You also want to you want to add the name of the file. So this will be the check file that gets created and emailed. This will be the first part of the name. So you can put a name here, AP check, BOA check, or whatever you want to call it. The automatic print will tell you that as soon as you generate the payment, it'll automatically print and send the check via email. You could reset this to yes, you don't have to, but that's what that does. And you also then want to select the payment printer that we created earlier on where the check is going to be sent. So you want to make sure that the payment printer is set to the right printer. So once that's done, we're moving on to the actual check printing. So basically, I'm not going to talk about how to create the actual payment within the system itself, but you basically need to create the payment within the system. It's paying an invoice or whatever you need to do, whatever that process is. I didn't illustrate it here for time purposes, but once you generate that payment and submit it, the IDM document will be created and sent to the printer or sent to whatever email address that's in the printer configuration. You could also view the check that was created as well, and you could view them. Then they get stored here, and this is where you can go to view them. You want to go to the application administrator. You want to go to financials, shared application. If you're the person who ran or submitted the check to be printed, it will be under My IDM Jobs. But you could also go under All IDM Jobs to view all the checks that are available. Or actually it's all IDM documents that are available. So that's under financials, shared processes, and then there's all IDM jobs as well as my IDM job list. From here, this will pull up this form. It basically gives you a list of all the jobs that were created. Once you click on one of the payments, click the payment, this part will show on the bottom of the page, and it basically shows you details of that document. And you want to then, if you want to open it, you then click on the PDF, and it will then open the check that was sent to the printer. You could also view them in IDM as well. You go back to import document management at the top. It pulls up your home page, which would then show recently modified documents. Will show all the documents that are there, all the documents that were recently created. Or if you go to My Documents, if you're the one who printed that job or created that check, it would show up under your jobs as well. As you can see here, the only thing I have done is I uploaded the template, so that's why that's all that shows here. Okay. And that basically is the process. Thank you for listening today. Are there any questions? Some questions out there?
We don't have any in the chat, but if
Okay.
anybody does have any questions, feel free.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hello.
I have a question. You know, when user opens up the is in Word and opens on the document management, right, and tries to log in, do verify and log in, is the screen supposed to just flash and go away, or is it supposed to open
Yes.
FSM? It just flashes and goes away, right?
It just flashes and goes away, correct?
Okay, okay, that's all
Yeah.
I want to know. Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
That is correct.
Any other questions?
If you think of any questions later, feel free to email. You'll see Molly Velasco's email address at the end. So feel free to email her with any questions, and we can get those addressed as soon as we can.
Thanks, Rob, for that. And thank you all for attending. Next week, we have 2 sessions for Informative Fridays. At 11 o'clock, we have Employee Relations. And at 1 o'clock, we have EDI and Infor Financial and Supply Chain Management, an overview of what's new. Friday, February 18th at 1 p.m., we have Closed Management Benefits. Then Friday, February 25th at 12 p.m., we have Mobile Supply and Change Management Review. If you're interested in attending and to register, please visit our website or reach out to Molly. At a closing thought, we wanted you to be aware of our Coffee with Consulting offering. If you have any questions about what you saw today or any questions related to the Infor products, please reach out to us via our website. We will connect you with a consultant who will spend a half hour with you at no charge. Thank you again for joining today. See you soon. Have a good day.